Great man. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure.
Before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
He's just picking the big guys. Jordan Mailata, he's huge. He'll be good later on. Josh Sweat, he's tall as hell and strong. Let's get him. We'll figure him out. It's working.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. I am Phil Stiefel, joined by Jeremy Horworth. We're live here, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you're sharing it out, liking, spreading the word. And we got a jam-packed show. We're waiting for our special guest today to come on, Coach Michael Coleman of the Wyoming Mustangs of the Champions Indoor Football League. Maybe some technical difficulties there, but we'll get him in as soon as he joins the show. We got lots to talk about today, but we got to mention our sponsor, Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products and gear. So make sure you check them out at manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING, the name of the show, TRENDING, at checkout. It gets you 20% off and free shipping on your next order. And I guarantee whoever you purchase that for will not be disappointed. Top-end quality grooming products there. They've got it all. They've got the razors, the shaves, the lotions, the boxers, everything you need. So make sure you check them out. Manscaped.com, promo code TRENDING. I'm Phil Stiefel. Like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. Jeremy over on Twitter at Horwath11. I keep saying Worth, but it's
I know.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Weeks now.
No, that's all right.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. This is now a second full week of Trending in the AM. Again, no mistakes going on for either one of us this early in the morning. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Absolutely. So I'm continuing to check my phone here to see what's up with Coach here. While we're waiting, the topic then that I'll bring up to start the show, it's something that's trending on Twitter a lot today and last night, and even earlier in the day when rumors went that he was making the 4-hour drive out to Pittsburgh. I'm sure he actually didn't drive. I'm sure somebody drove him or he got the little private jet out to Pittsburgh. But everyone's talking about Howie Roseman and how stupid it is that he went to the Pittsburgh, North Carolina game to scout. First off, Pittsburgh's a top 25 team. Mm-hmm. They're 8-2 in their 5-1 in their conference. They've got arguably one of the top quarterback prospects in the country, Kenny Pickett. Sam Howell was actually a top prospect to begin the year as well. And everyone's just bashing Howie Roseman because he's doing his job.
Yeah.
And that's why they're bashing him. So tell me I'm wrong in saying that bashing Howie for going to this game is stupid.
Look, I've never been a Howie guy, but I'm also not just going to hate on someone for stupid stuff when just because I'm not a fan of them. He went to the game because he was going to scout. Why? I don't understand why it's even a conversation. If anything, you should be like, oh, Howie's like really going for it this year. Like this is something that we don't always see from Howie. He's going out, looking at just looking through the thing.
Yeah, he looked a little silly with his little mini goggles. Yeah,
that's fine. But again, that doesn't really bother me. Like you want to call he looked a little bit funny doing it. That's fine. But he's going and again doing his job. I don't understand why it's even an issue. I don't even get the argument. Like, why is it bad that he went?
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
I actually don't
know.
Well,
I know why it is because they're talking about, everyone's making fun of him because he thinks he's the quarterback factory and all the things he says on a regular basis, which, all right, whatever. But again, it's not like he went out to see the two small Division III schools.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No, yeah.
He went to a top flight school like the University of Pittsburgh, who's, like I said, 8-2. They're a top 25 team and arguably have the best quarterback prospect. Look, you can say what you want about Jalen Hurts, whether he's the quarterback of the future or not. But Howie Roseman would be doing a disservice to this franchise if he wasn't at least checking in. We have 3 first-round picks. Unfortunately, the Dolphins surprisingly won last night, so that first pick drops down a little bit there. We'll get into that as the day goes on. But he has to be looking on these guys. And even if he's not, I'm sure there's other quality. You're not 8-2 by mistake, in college football. If you're 8-2, I'm sure there's some really good players on this team, whether they're wide receivers, running backs, whether they're on defense, I mean, hell, they had 5 sacks last night at the University of Pittsburgh. So, I mean, they've got some players on their team. I'm not a college football junkie, so I don't know a team like Pittsburgh's, ins and outs and stuff like that.
Right.
But I know who their quarterback is, and I know he's probably going to be the number 1 quarterback taken in the draft. Yes, the quarterback factory is a joke, but Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's okay. He might grow. He might be the starting quarterback next year, but he's done nothing to prove at this second that he's the quarterback of the future. So I give Howie credit for doing that.
Yeah.
Howie credit for being seen doing that. I mean, he's doing it. There were 37 scouts at that game, or GMs. It's not like he was the only one.
No. And that's the thing. Like, he wouldn't even go out and be like post on social media, hey, I'm at the game, I'm doing all this. Like, guys, look what I'm doing. He didn't care about that. He just went, didn't care if he was seen. Like, I'm going to do my job. Like, there should be no issue with what Howie Roseman did. If anything, this puts him higher up for me. I'm happy I'm seeing him go do these things. If he's not going to take so much advice from other scouts, go do your real business. If you want to go and do the draft by yourself pretty much and not take much advice, go to games, go watch a bunch of these high talented prospects. That's what I'm going to want to see more. So I'm actually happy that Howie Roseman went and watched the game. I'm not upset and
it's not like it was a 15-hour cross country,
No.
It's Pittsburgh.
Right.
Pittsburgh
On a Thursday.
I can get from Southern Chester County to Pittsburgh in 4 hours.
Exactly.
And I'm not, and I don't have a private driver or a helicopter or anything taking me out
private jet.
I don't have any of that access at all. So I don't want to hear that it's a bad decision.
No.
And I see a lot of people on social media, calling out. And I know the video of the camera panning through all the people scouting the game and him with his binoculars. It's a funny image. And it's going to be a GIF and a meme for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's him doing his damn job. And
exactly.
And I don't know what the big deal is about it. And honestly, as yesterday went along and I started reading up on it, Kenny Pickett is a really talented quarterback prospect. So, I really don't, I don't think he's, necessarily a franchise, foundational piece. But you know what? He may be a little bit better than Jalen Hurts. He may not be. We'll see how his career goes once he gets to the NFL. But come on now, I don't know. I really got a little frustrated with all that I saw on social media last night and today about it.
It is really all that I saw. I didn't work last night, and I just saw it last night, and I'm like, what is and I knew this is what we were going to talk about. We're trending in the AM. Anything that's trending on Twitter or anything that's going on, we're going to go over it. And I was like, I just could not understand what the issue was. I'm still not going to understand it, and I'm not going to agree with it. So whatever Howie go do,
I know everyone wants to talk bad about Howie and his draft.
That's what it
is. Like that. Yeah. But if you think about it, Howie Roseman had a really solid 2021 draft, at least the top half of the draft.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the trend, that he's getting better and learning from his mistakes. I mean, he's had a lot of mistakes to learn from. He's been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's turning the corner. I mean, getting Devontae Smith, maybe not the pick I would have made, but it was a good pick. And we can all agree that he's a foundational piece of this team for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Landon Dickerson, second round, foundational piece of our offensive line, one of the highest graded linemen in the league this year as a rookie, coming off 4 straight season-ending injuries, and he's looking pretty dominant in the NFL. Yeah. He's done some good things this year.
Yeah.
So, or in the past year. So he's got to do his job. He's got to scout. Like I said, there were scouts from every single team or GMs, and some teams sent multiple scouts to this game.
Yeah.
That's how big of a game it was. So
zero issue. And again, even if he is just getting better just because of last year and he just continues on that trend, I'm going to be happy with that. Howie Roseman's not going anywhere. Just get everyone just got to get that out of your head. Howie Roseman's not going anywhere at least anytime soon. He's buddies with Jeffrey and everything. It's just not going to happen unless you just come out here and just support him on every, judge him on every decision he makes and, critique him, do whatever you got to do, be an Eagles fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, he's still going to be here. I don't see the reason just for bashing him for something like this. Now, you want to bash him for the past years, do whatever. But if it seems like he might be getting a little better at drafting and hopefully he can figure out more stuff and just make this team better. I just hate him for other reasons. This is not
is not the reason to hate.
This is not the reason. Anything else, really.
Yeah,
anything
absolutely.
else.
All right. So 2 other big pieces of NFL news yesterday. I want to call them 2 former big names because I don't think they're at the peak of their career anymore. They're on the down. One of them is way down at the bottom, end of his career. The other one's starting that downward spiral. 2 free agents, Cam Newton and OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., signed with new teams yesterday.
Mhm.
Cam Newton signed with the Carolina Panthers, and
back.
OBJ signed with the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know. You pick which one you want to talk about first.
We'll talk about Cam Newton first. I don't know. It's fun. I like that he's back in Carolina. It's going to bring back that nostalgic feelings. Now, I'm hoping these Carolina fans aren't thinking that they have 2015 Cam back because that's just not a thing. I don't think Cam is as bad as a lot of people put him out to be. I know he's been he hasn't had a team all year, and he kind of struggled with the Patriots last year. But he didn't really have a scheme fit with New England. Belichick and him just if anything, I do think it kind of helped Cam because it helped his mindset having someone like Belichick there, and he kind of grew up a little bit when he went over there. But he will now have a better scheme fit. He does have a really heavy offensive mind in Matt Rule over there. So I do think that he will play better in Carolina this time, better than he did in New England the past couple of years. And I do think he's going to help the team. I do think I don't know if I think that. I'm not sure how I feel about him over Sam Darnold. Now, Darnold has a lot of mistakes. I don't think Cam's going to make those mistakes. But again, he doesn't have the arm of Sam Darnold. I don't know. I think it's something that's going to be working out. I don't think it's going to be that bad because McCaffrey is back. When you have McCaffrey playing, it makes your job a lot easier. So, the
way I look at Cam Newton was last year he had an awful season with New England, in my opinion. And I said, going into last season, I said, if anybody can salvage Cam Newton, it was Bill Belichick. Obviously, he didn't. But the New England Patriots had they had the most players opt out because of protocol rules and stuff like that. So they didn't have a full team, but you can still see his arm strength was even worse than it ever was. Short arm and throws. He just didn't have that same push when he was running the ball and stuff like that. You go to Carolina, and I said at the beginning of this season, I said Carolina had the chance to surprise people this year if Sam Darnold played average. The problem is Sam Darnold wasn't playing average. He played average for the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, first 3 weeks he was good.
And they were 3-0. Then after 3 weeks, he went back to old Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Cam Newton has never in his career, not just last year with the Patriots, never had a Christian McCaffrey with him.
No, he hasn't.
Cam Newton has never had a DJ Moore. Don't forget about DJ Moore. DJ Moore is an amazing wide receiver.
And Robbie Anderson over there.
If you put DJ Moore with a great great quarterback, DJ Moore might be Michael Pittman or Cooper Kupp or something like that. And you said Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson, he is
electric.
Ghosted the NFL this year. He hasn't done anything. It's because of his quarterback play.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Cam Newton is going to have more talent now than ever before. And the NFC wildcard race is tight as can be. What do they have? 4 wins now, Carolina, I believe?
I think they actually had 5. Yeah, for sure.
They're 5 wins now. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're right in the heart of it there.
Yeah, they're there. They're there.
If Cam Newton, so I'll make the same statement I made with Sam Darnold before the season. If Cam Newton can play average football with that talent around him, and a very, very strong defense that bringing in Cam Newton on the offense takes some of that pressure off the defense. If he can play average football, Carolina is definitely making the playoffs. And will they contend in the playoffs? That's another whole subject.
Yeah.
But making the playoffs and getting there, I don't think I think it does a great job there.
Yeah, and they are 4-5. That was my mistake. They are 4, but I don't think that really is a big difference. They're 4-5 on the year, and they even in their division. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to get over the Buccaneers. That is a crazy statement. But the Falcons are 4-4, another surprise team right there, and the Saints are 5-3. So they're only 1 game out of being second in the division. They can still go for this race. Cam Newton has actually not been ruled out for this Sunday. Cam Newton might play Sunday. They got
what's his name? PJ Walker or TJ Walker or TJ Hooker or whatever his name is.
They have PJ Walker.
That reference is too old for you babies, Hold on, we're gonna bring in our other. I'm not sure what happened to Coach Coleman. We may have to reschedule that.
Yeah.
So we had scheduled for late in the show, my man Jason Voorhees here at Mustang 3651. You got the TJ Hooker reference, right?
I was just laughing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
you're old like me. You know who Jeremy will have to Google search who TJ Hooker
Definitely.
is. Definitely. Yeah. Anyway,
Definitely.
So Jason is the host of blah 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 blah. He is the host of the Flyers, the Drunk on Ice Flyers podcast, and also the Sports and Metal podcast I was watching the Sports and Metal podcast last night before I did my show, and they brought up the next free agent that just signed, OBJ, and Jason and his co-host Aaron's, I don't want to call it the spirited debate, that's what we'll call it, was quite entertaining. I'll just call it that. So make sure you check out the Sports and Metal podcast on all social media platforms. So Jeremy, before I ask you about OBJ, I already know what Jason's going to say about OBJ. But tell our listeners how you feel about. Just remember, we're in the morning here. This is not nighttime TV. We got to watch our language and stuff like that early in the morning.
Oh, no, I mean, obviously, hopefully everybody will go back and watch the show.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the passionate plea of what you said about OBJ.
Well, honestly, Aaron and I obviously disagreed, and there's a lot of people that will disagree with me. But there's a lot of people, I see a lot of OBJ hate out there, and I get it. Like my personal opinion is not that he's this upstanding player, and he's obviously not a team player. Everybody knows that. I mean, that's a fact. That's not the point that I have. I told everybody I like to root for the villain. And to me, this is a guy, honestly, that everybody's hoping that will fail now. I'm looking at this as somewhat of, a factor where OBJ has finally come to the realization that he wants to win a championship. I get it. Yes, he wants the ball. But how many wide receivers in the NFL are divas? There's a ton of wide receivers, and every year there's multiple guys that are, considered divas. I mean, we've had Terrell Owens. Yeah. We could go down the line. Randy Moss. All guys that complained about not getting the ball. I guess the thing with OBJ is he kind of goes a little further with his complaints. Obviously, he wants out of the league. But how many players are doing this across all leagues? I mean, this has become an epidemic, honestly, across every sport. Baseball, football, basketball, where all these star players want to force their way out and go to teams where, they feel comfortable, where they're going to get where they're going to be featured and where they're going to win. And so when you see it happening so much, it's hard for me to just sit here and say, well, OBJ's wrong when, Joe Schmo just did it 3 years ago and LeBron James does it every other year. I mean, so honestly, to me, it's like, he's doing what a lot of other people have done before him.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I think him going to the Rams, I mean, the Rams are already loaded. You're talking now they have, Cooper Kupp, who is probably right now he's definitely wide receiver one this year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's number one wide receiver this year.
I would say, he could be number one wide receiver, the next 3 years. He's a stud, and he's come into his own. And then you have Robert Woods. Don't forget, Robert Woods is, on a lot of teams could be. He's on the verge of being a wide receiver one.
He was equal to Cooper Kupp coming into this season.
Correct. So you now have, now you're putting OBJ on this offense. Now, obviously, the other thing that we argued about is Aaron was like, he's never healthy. And that's true. But he's only 2 years removed from a 74-catch, 1,000-yard season. And like I said, the big thing that Aaron was trying to say was that Cleveland could win a Super Bowl. I don't see it happening. And listen, the Eagles won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, but the Eagles also were a better team. Cleveland has a good defense. They have a great running game. But Baker Mayfield, to me, is the epitome of game manager quarterback.
Exactly.
And a guy that is absolutely overrated. Like, anybody that thinks Baker Mayfield is going to win is kidding themselves. So to me, I get it. I'm not saying OBJ's right. Listen, if you're on a team, you should play to your contract and you should play for your team. But he's not the only guy that's done it.
All right, Jeremy, where are you with the OBJ thing to the Rams?
I am a huge Odell Beckham supporter. I have always loved OBJ. Now I'm
now going to have to argue against it. I mean,
that's fine.
I'm not, but I will.
See, look, again, I always bring this up, but the things that both of us have grown up with. Like OBJ is someone that I actually grew up with watching. And like when he made that catch, like I was still like a young kid and everything.
It's the one play he's made his entire
Yeah.
career.
No, he has no. Okay. All right.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
No, I know. And it was an amazing play and everything. But everything that happened in Cleveland, I'm happy he got out of there. It's not the type of place that I think Odell should have been. When he's getting games where he's getting 2 targets for 7 yards and they're just little dump offs. I think we know OBJ is better than that. OBJ has been getting open more, and just you can see on the tape that Baker just would not give the ball to Odell. Like I don't know what it is, but if they had prior like history before, they just didn't get along. But whatever it is, Baker just would not give the ball to Odell Beckham, and I just couldn't figure out why. And it was just, again, I can't, like, to me it was frustrating. I can't imagine to Odell how frustrating it was, because when you're open and you're just not being given the ball, and I don't even think it's really to the point where, like, obviously he has his issues with being like a team player and everything. But at this point, I wouldn't even say it was because of that. I don't think that's him being like, hey, like, you know, I want to get the ball 15 times a game. No, I think it's to the point where it's like, okay, my quarterback he's just not giving me the ball. And he didn't understand why. And I fully support it. So I'm happy with what OBJ did. I'm happy he's going to the Rams, going to play with a quarterback that'll actually give him the ball. And I don't think he's going to be the type when he goes over there and is like, hey, I want 15 targets. I want Cooper Kupp getting the ball less. I don't think he's that type of player anymore. He used to be when he was younger and everything, and he had that attitude. He hasn't really even had that attitude really in Cleveland. It's just problems that I think any wide receiver would have. I think that if you're over there and Jarvis Landry if you swap positions and Odell was getting the ball as much as Jarvis Landry was, and Jarvis Landry was getting what Odell was, I think he'd have issues. I think a lot of these guys would have issues if Odell was over there.
Jarvis Landry's his best friend. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw last night.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry tweeted him, "See you in the Super Bowl, bro."
Yeah.
Like, basically.
I'm going to bring up a comparison because I'm not going to bash it, because the Rams are all in. And obviously with the Von Miller move, with this move, the Rams are all in. Now that they're all in, I'm going to root against them because I always root for the underdog. So I'm just going to put that out there. But there was another diva wide receiver signed mid-season last year. And everybody said he was a locker room cancer. And that team had too many wide receiver options already. And that's Antonio Brown. Okay. Antonio Brown was a cancer. Antonio Brown was going to a team that had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, a lot of mouths to feed. Antonio Brown is going to disrupt that locker room. Antonio Brown is going to steal touches from these other guys. Well, guess what? They won a Super Bowl last year. Antonio Brown kept his head down, kept his ego in check, and guess what? Got a big contract in the offseason.
Exactly.
And that's what OBJ is going to – he signed for a couple $1 million, just and hoping to get that ring, yes, but also to prove that he's still got it. And if he still has it, he's still fairly young enough where he'll get a big contract in the offseason if he does this. Maybe he stays with the Rams, maybe he doesn't. People that are saying it's a bad move need to look at that situation and see what Antonio Brown did. Antonio Brown has turned into an equal to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, not the diva trying to steal from them.
No.
And yes, Tom Brady's a step above Matthew Stafford, but Matthew Stafford has also never had the weapons that Tom Brady has, in Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? So now Matthew Stafford might be able to be a great quarterback now that he's got all these weapons. He's having a great season this year.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford went from having a stable of Toyotas to a stable of Lamborghinis. I mean, let's
seriously,
face it. Like, honest to God, like the guy literally, I mean, he had Calvin Johnson at the end of his career. That was it.
Right.
He's literally had, he's played with wide receivers like Donovan McNabb used to play with. Let's face it. Be honest. So the point is,
I want to bring up Drew's point here that the Rams are buying the Super Bowl here.
Hey,
let me ask this, guys. Is there anything wrong with buying a Super Bowl? The Yankees have done it for 50 times. Everybody tries to win a title, whether you buy it or whatever. I'm sure there's a lot more people that could say a team won a Super Bowl based on, or a title period by buying it versus. When was the last time that just a core young group of players won a title?
I will say this much. They are taking risks, the Rams, by doing what they're doing, because they've given up a shit ton of draft capital. So
But they have done that for a while. They gave up a crap ton of draft capital to get Jared Goff.
Oh,
so it just proves that the front office.
No,
of the
I
Rams
get it.
Doesn't care about that.
Well, and the point is they're kind of looking at it as we'd rather just go for the free agents and the trades. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it works, who cares, really?
They played in the Super Bowl just 2.5, 3. They just played in the Super Bowl. So a few years ago. So it's obviously working. They got to a Super Bowl by this philosophy with Jared Goff as their quarterback. Will they this year? I don't know. But they're setting themselves up, for a really strong chance to be the favorite to make it, to get that home field, advantage throughout the playoffs. So you know what? I don't really get upset when people try to win a title in any sport.
No.
I just think that's doing business. You make the most money as a franchise by winning a title.
It's good management. You're making these signings for cheaper, and it's just good management. The thing is, people that hate on it wish that their team could do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was. Eagles fans are going to wish the Eagles could do that, but they can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I do continue to shake my head and wonder how they are doing it, because it's like they keep getting these good guys, but somehow, they're doing, I guess, behind the scenes with the cap. Everyone always says that Howie's a cap genius, but
he's not.
I guess behind the scenes,
he's actually terrible with it.
He actually is.
But yeah, and that's kind of the thing. The salary cap, honestly, it's just not really like a real thing. You can work around it so much. You can transfer all the money from the salary into a signing bonus, so he gets the money right away. And now there's no cap space for him. It's really weird how it works, and people can work around it so much. And I guarantee the Rams have been doing it all year.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And Drew's saying again that if they don't win this year or next, they're going to be sucky for a long time. That's not true, because they went to the Super Bowl, didn't win it. They had one bad year, and look what they did. Like this, they've returned their franchise. They not only did they turn their franchise around, they completely rebooted their franchise by getting rid of their franchise quarterback, trading for another franchise quarterback, bringing in Jalen Ramsey, bringing in Von Miller. So they just went from a really good team to a crappy team to a really good team again in the course of a 3-year span. So if you have a smart front office that can make 1 or 2 good draft picks in the later rounds, because it's not like they're trading 6th and 7th round picks here. They're trading their 1st round picks and some of their 2nd round picks. If you can get good mid-round draft picks and scout talent well, which they seem to do, and make the right picks, and you have a good, strong coach that can keep the team together, we always say, you don't have to rebuild in the NFL. You can retool if you have a smart GM. Unfortunately, it seems like the Eagles aren't retooling. They're more of into a rebuild mode.
Well, we don't have a head coach like over in LA.
Yeah, I mean, Sean McVay is obviously a much higher level talent of coach than
top 3
Nick Sirianni is. So I think it's a good move, and I don't think it's a bad move. No. Basically, the Rams have upgraded Van Jefferson to OBJ, and that's it.
Well, let's face it. To Drew's point, I would say, if you still had Jared Goff and you were making these moves, that yes, it would probably be detrimental in the long run. But the fact that you flipped Goff and you got Stafford, now Stafford, yes, he is 30, I believe 33. But but in quarterback years, that's still young. He still has a good 8-year. I mean, look at Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady's just showing everybody how it's done.
But not just Tom Brady. Philip Rivers played late into his 30s.
A lot of these quarterbacks are playing late. So you had Drew Brees. You had, even
Philip Rivers.
Who's the guy I was just going to say? Philip Rivers. So Matt Stafford's got a good 8 to 9 years left on his body that he could.
Right.
And 4 to 5 of them could be, in its still prime years. So to me, I think the Rams are set up, even if they don't win this year, obviously they have their defense is what's, I mean, let's face it, defense wins championships, and the Rams have a great defense. Anytime you have Jalen Ramsey in your defensive backfield and Von Miller,
and we haven't even mentioned Aaron Donald's name, the best defensive player in football.
Maybe even the best player.
My God,
maybe even the best player.
We mentioned Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey twice in the last 10 minutes and did not mention Aaron Donald.
No, you're right. So anyway, it's a moot point.
They're the favorite to make the Super Bowl from the NFC, in my opinion now, hands down. Barring a massive injury or something like that to Matthew Stafford or to whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they are the favorite for the Super Bowl at this point. All right, real quick, final little thought on football before we move on to what we really brought you on here, which is hockey talk. Last night, Baltimore just got shellacked by Miami, which hurts our draft prospects. It's almost like Miami's trying to hurt us here. Maybe they're a little bitter that they gave up, a pick for in that trade in the offseason, and they're actually trying to win. Anybody frustrated? I mean, I was frustrated because I'm a big Lamar Jackson guy. I've got him in a lot of fantasy stuff and all. Did not see that coming one bit. Jeremy?
No, see, I didn't see that happening at all. I actually didn't even watch the game because I was like, hey, it's just kind of going to be a blowout by the Ravens.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would have been really like a fun watch. And when I look back at the game, it wasn't a fun watch anyway. I was guessing, even though it kind of flipped around a little bit. But something that I did notice is Brian Flores, the head coach of the Dolphins, someone that I really do like, a really good defensive-minded head coach. I love Brian Flores. But he made some really weird decisions with his quarterback. He started Jacoby Brissett,
right?
And Brissett got injured, and Brissett was now healthy to play. He was able to come back in, and he came in for a little bit, and then Flores took out a healthy Brissett and put in an injured Tua.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Sure. Well, Tua does have a broken hand or broken finger or something like that. So he was dressed and active because he was kind of capable of playing in an emergency situation. No, it didn't make sense because you can even see. I didn't watch much of the game. I watched a few minutes in the third quarter last night, and you saw Tua take a hit and him shaking his hand nonstop. It was bothering him.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacoby Brissett was ready to go back in. It's kind of not a smart move,
No.
risking your still at this moment technically your franchise quarterback, for a meaningless game in a losing season.
No, he definitely has to be the franchise quarterback now because the Deshaun Watson thing's over. It's done with.
Now. I mean, they could revisit that in the offseason.
Right, yeah, way later on. But right now, that decision is not happening for the rest of the year. So you gotta be safe with that quarterback. And Tua still did look pretty good last night, even though he's playing through an injury. Tua didn't look that bad. He led that team, brought them down the field a couple times, scored a couple touchdowns, and he won the game over the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, that's huge. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to change the Dolphins' season. I'm not saying the Dolphins are going to turn around the season and be like, oh, now we should be worried about them. It's not what I'm saying at all. But that was a huge stepping stone for Tua, gave him a lot more confidence. And I think Tua will have a better year going on because how much confidence he has
I've
now.
not been a Tua fan at all. I thought he was overrated. But literally the 5 minutes of the game I watched, there was a play that broke down, and it wasn't – he stayed in the pocket and fired a shot downfield to Jalen Waddle, where Jalen Waddle had to make a falling away backwards catch. First off, it was an amazing catch from Waddle, but just seeing the ability of Tua to stay in the pocket, read his progressions, give Waddle time to get open. He even looked off a defender over here, then fired the ball over here to Waddle. It's everything I want to see Jalen Hurts do.
Yeah, see, Tua,
and that's the problem.
Yeah, when he was going to be drafted, I was actually the biggest Tua fan. I thought he would have been better than Joe Burrow. I was huge on Tua. I was not big on Burrow. I didn't think Burrow was going to translate well to the NFL. And man, I'm wrong. Totally wrong about Burrow. And I was wrong about Tua too. But the thing is about Tua, he doesn't have the best arm and he's not extremely mobile. But the thing is that he has a really good IQ. I think he is an upgraded version over Teddy Bridgewater. He has a really accurate ball. At least he did. I don't know what was really happening earlier this year. But he has a really accurate ball. He can throw hard, just not far. And he's a little bit more mobile than people think. So Tua, I still like Tua. I still think he has a chance. But the thing is that his mental game kind of was put down a little bit, especially you could tell that the Dolphins were kind of giving up on him so early into year two. It's kind of unfair, but I don't know. I like Tua, and I think that this game gave him a lot of confidence for the rest of the year, and hopefully he can come back strong because I don't want any quarterback just to do bad. I just want the Dolphins to lose every game, but I still hope Tua succeeds.
I will admit I'm a secret Dolphins fan. My dad always taught me growing up to support your hometown team. And my dad was in the Coast Guards for a few years and stationed out in Miami. And then he stayed living in Miami for a little while. So he obviously adopted for that 2-year stretch the Dolphins. And when he came back, he's like, look, you still have to be an Eagles fan. No doubt about it, 110%. But if you're going to pick a second team, pick the Dolphins. And he had Jason remembers the old school powder blue logo that they had back in the 80s and stuff like that. He wore I literally, from the day I was born till the day he passed away, the ugliest T-shirt that was worn out for 25 years, and he rocked that Dolphins T-shirt with pride nonstop his entire life. So secretly, they're one of my backup teams, always the Dolphins.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
I support that.
Yeah, well, my co-host Aaron, Phil knows. Phil's been on plenty of times. Aaron is a diehard, so he was actually watching that game with a big smile last night.
The show's on. The game's on one screen. The podcast is on another screen.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was looking at it with disgust because of obviously the draft.
Absolutely.
You know, my 2 cents on it. I think Jeremy, I think you nailed it. I think Tua to me is like an upgraded Teddy Bridgewater. And
I've never heard that comparison. I like it.
I have Jalen Hurts being like an upgraded Tyrod Taylor. I think Jalen Hurts and Tua are very similar as far as their ceiling. I don't think they're quarterbacks that can't win. They can. Are they the future? Are they studs like, Pat Mahomes? No. See, that's part of the problem with a lot of people today is that everybody wants every quarterback to be like a franchise, Justin Herbert. Like, not every quarterback that comes out is going to be that level. Does that mean that the quarterback's bad or garbage? No. Does it mean that that quarterback can't carry the team? No. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks, with mid-level talent succeed in the league. So you don't have to be an elite top-level guy to succeed. I think the problem with Jalen Hurts is so many, a lot of people don't have a lot of patience. And that's that. And think about it. In Philly, we have no patience.
No.
So everybody's just up in arms right away and says, oh, well, Jalen Hurts isn't the answer. Jalen Hurts isn't the answer. But I've seen a lot of people, and I'm not a huge stats guy, but I have saw a lot of people putting stats up. Like I saw the guy, I forget his name, the guy that's always chasing people at the airport. He had a good John Clark, correct. I couldn't think of his name. He had a good, stat line on Hurts, and it showed like he's up there in the league in a lot of categories, like as far as total yards.
Yeah.
And the point is, you have to have a team around the guy to succeed. And right now, the Eagles team, I think we all agree, has a lot of holes. So that's where I'm at.
All right. Yeah. All right. So let's get in what we actually brought you on here for.
Of course.
We're going to I guess we're just going to call it the segment of the week. We're going to call it the What's Up with the Flyers. I'm going to harken back to my, Jose from Norristown on the Tony Bruce. So what up? What up with the Flyers? We got hockey action, that's where that comes from. So last week we had you on after the Penguins lost in overtime. In the past week, the Flyers have gone 1-1. They beat the Capitals in DC 2-1. And then they lost a couple nights ago to the Maple Leafs 3-0. And you were texting me during that Maple Leafs game about how, Carter Hart was standing on his head, but nothing else was going on. So Jason, host of the Drunk on Ice podcast on the Drunk on Broad Network, what's up with the Flyers? 1-1. They got a really tough game coming up tonight, I believe, against Carolina, top team in the Metropolitan Division. What's up with the Flyers?
Well, Carolina is not only the top team in the Metropolitan, they're the top team in the NHL.
Yeah.
10-1.
10-1, yeah. Maybe I under introed the team that they're playing there.
No, it's okay. So what's up with the Flyers? Well, I think everybody that watches Drunk on Ice podcast, and thank you, by the way, for all your support, guys, everybody. And then, I mentioned it on your show last week. My impression of the Flyers is that I'm cautiously optimistic. I went into this season thinking and expecting improvement, but I don't expect this team to contend for a championship. Could they make the playoffs? Possibly, if they play out of their mind and if everybody overperforms. So right now where the Flyers are at and what's up with the Flyers is they're exactly where I thought they'd be. I mean, they're 6th in the division right now. I predicted them at the beginning of the year to be 5th or 4th at the end of the year. So they're right where they're at. And I don't think it has to do with the Flyers not performing well because they're 6-3-3. They're playing pretty good hockey. But the problem is they don't have the elite talent scorers. They don't have the guys that can carry games when their team is down 3-0 and can basically bring them back all by himself. They don't have an Ovechkin. They don't have, a Nylander like Toronto. They don't have any of these guys. And that's part of the problem where they need to play all around hockey as a team. And those kind of teams can win. I mean, it's happened in hockey more than any other sport that happens. But where they're at right now is exactly where I thought they'd be. I mean, you have Coots and Giroux leading the team in scoring. Both each have 12 points. The defense is playing totally better than last year. Obviously, last year, they were one of the worst defensive teams maybe in the history of the Flyers. They were that bad. I mean, the Flyers had the worst goals against average in the league. That was a lot of, the problem with Carter Hart. I mean, Carter Hart regressed majorly last year. So if you want my bright spot right now, it's definitely Carter Hart, because if you looked at the game and you watched it this past, I guess it was Wednesday against the Leafs. If it weren't for Hart, they probably would have lost 6-0. Because he had a lot of key saves in that game. They ended up losing 3-0. They gave up a power play goal, and also one of the goals was coming right off of the power play. So, like I said, this team is, they're playing much better hockey.
So you bring it up, and it's funny because as I was prepping up for today and reading up on the Flyers last night a little bit. It's funny that you said they don't have that elite score, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was trying to compare it to the Sixers, where the Sixers need that guy, or have needed that guy, that Damian Lillard, that Bradley Beal, that guy that could just go out and get a bucket. The Flyers, I don't think, have had that guy that could go out and get a goal. I know it's a different sport and it's a little different, but they haven't had a guy that could just go out and just dominate and get a goal. I can't even think of the last time.
Leclerc.
Leclerc. I was thinking that maybe I was off by thinking Leclerc was the last guy.
No, you're not off. That's exactly. If you want the guy that I'm talking about, I mean, Leclerc scored 50 goals 3 years.
I mean, we always have guys on the Flyers that are in the top 10 or 15 in scoring, but we never have a guy that's in the top 10 in goals scored. We just don't. We've never had a natural goal scorer for 10, 15 years on this squad.
It's mind-boggling because, like I said, that's what this team needs. Listen, Chuck Fletcher, I give him an A+. I mean, he revamped the team, the roster in a one off season swoop. So, obviously, you brought in Ristolainen on the defense, and you brought in Ellis. Ellis has been out injured. I believe he's going to be playing next game.
Okay.
I'm praying.
You're praying.
Because he's a guy that, they're definitely missing. Ristolainen, I mean, I've been huge on him since they got him. I know a lot of people blasted him and said, a lot of the stat nerds, because, his metrics and his, analytics weren't that good. But the thing with Ristolainen you got to remember is he played on Buffalo, who's been basically the doormat of the NHL for the past 7 years. So He played on the worst team. You bring him to a team where he's not the guy, and he's showing what he can do. I mean, for instance, in the Capitals game, obviously, I don't look at defensemen. I don't want my defense. It's not that I don't want them. I don't look to them to need to have points to be able to be considered a good defenseman. To me, I look for a guy, how he's playing. Is he playing physical? Is he stopping is he blocking shots? Is he keeping my goaltender safe and out of harm's way? And that's what Ristolainen's doing. I mean, Ristolainen, I remember he was out, I believe, the first 2 games. He had like a little bit of it. He was banged up. And then his first couple of games back, it kind of took him a little bit of time to get back in the groove, but he's firing on all cylinders. I mean, talk about a guy that can change, the pace of play, and he just hits everything that walks. I mean, it's good to actually have a guy that hits.
Right.
That's cool. You know me, Phil. I mean, we're a little older. Jeremy, I know you're a little younger, but I'm sure the Broad Street Bullies, why that term came. So that's the kind of style hockey that Philadelphia fans love. And
Yep.
Ristolainen kind of brings that back to this team.
Mm-hmm.
But what we were talking about here is no matter what improvements they've made, you hit it on the head. They still need that goal scorer, and they don't have it. Haven't had it for so long. And that's why it's hard for the Flyers, even if they continue to improve. That's why it's going to be hard for them to win in this league, because the NHL has become such a league of, like, I don't want to say all generational talent, but like elite players, elite level guys that carry teams. The NHL is filled with that. I mean, you look around the league, like you have Connor McDavid. Edmonton has 3 guys that are elite. I mean, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent. They're like 3 guys on one team, and the Flyers don't have one. Like I said, the Flyers can compete, but are they going to win a cup? It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got Carolina tonight, obviously the best team in the NHL right now, and they got a back-to-back, both on the road. They got Carolina tonight, then they're going to Dallas to face the Stars on Saturday night. Can they go 1-1, or is this a situation where they, that's tough to go on the road back-to-back in hockey, even tougher than in basketball? Are they going to go 1-1? Are they going to go 0-2, 0-1-1?
I mean,
how do you see the next 2 nights playing out?
Would I want them to go 2-0? Obviously.
Yeah. What you want and what's going to happen are 2 totally different stories.
Can they go 2-0? Absolutely. I mean, I think Carolina was one of my.
Actually, real quick, hold on. Let me cut you off, Jason. Drew's asking, can they actually trade for 1? So I'm guessing his question is, do they have the ammunition to upgrade and get that 1?
Most definitely. Like, they have the ammunition because they still have a lot of young talent on the farm and on the team now.
So you would rank their farm system above and beyond better than the Phillies farm system.
Don't talk about that.
Well, the Phillies did hire an assistant GM yesterday.
They did. I did touch on that.
Huge.
And I don't know anything about him, but he came from Tampa Bay, who Tampa Bay is always rebooting and doing good work and getting young talent. So
he's 27 years old.
27?
He's 27 years old.
That's still older than you, Jeremy.
It is.
Well, if you guys don't forget, if you remember before we signed Matt Klentak as our GM, the Phillies were scouting a guy named Kyan Bloom, who also came from Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. He was the young stud guy. This is basically the guy that replaced Kyan Bloom. So I think the Phillies are definitely making a good move here by bringing in a guy that is linked to a team that does it right.
It's an upgrade.
Yeah. That is what they do. They do it right in Tampa.
Yeah. I mean,
back to the Flyers. Can they trade for a number 1?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe that, I don't see any guys, like, they're not going to get a McDavid. Like, that's just out of the realm of possibility. Okay. But you do have Tarasenko on the Blues, who's basically all offseason wanted out off the Blues. Okay. So he's a guy's name that I can look at the Flyers targeting if they get to a point where they feel, let's pull the trigger and get a guy in here that can score. But is he a guy that's going to put him over the top? I mean, like, to me, like I said, Tarasenko, he's a 30 goal scorer. The guy, 50 goal scorers are hard to come by. So let's face it. Like I said, I think they're going to go 1-1. I actually think, and this is going to be crazy, but I think they win the night and they lose tomorrow.
Okay.
Carter Hart is in net tonight, and then Martin Jones tomorrow. Martin Jones has actually been playing out of his mind. Like, a lot of people thought Martin Jones was going to be like the worst free agent signing the Flyers had, and he's performed above and beyond what anybody could have expected. I mean, matter of fact, I think his save percentage is over .950. Now, I know he's played limited games, but still, to have that kind of a guy as your 1B, because goalie, let's face it, in goalies, it's usually 1A and 1B, especially with, when you have back-to-backs, you're going to be playing, both guys, unless you have, Dominic Hasek or Martin Brodeur or those level guys like Vasilevsky on Tampa Bay. But I think they go 1-1. I think they win tonight against a team that's, obviously the best record in hockey. I can't say that Carolina is not playing, great hockey. They are. A lot of Carolina's success, though, I will put on their goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
They have a guy, Frederick Anderson, older guy, and he's playing out of his mind. Like, he has a 1.73 goals against, 939 save percentage, and I believe he has 8 wins.
Okay.
So he's basically been carrying that team.
Yeah.
Talk about a team where goal. See, that's the thing in hockey. So, I'm not trying to go back off the subjects, but this is hockey talk. And Carter Hart, like I said, we're all hoping that he is that guy that can go into the elite realm of goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
When you have an elite goaltender, that can beat teams that have the 40-goal scorer.
Yeah.
So if you have that piece, that's huge because, like I said, in hockey, it's all about who's playing the best when you get into the playoffs, and who can make that run. Mm-hmm. Having a great goalie can help do wonders. So awesome. I'm very happy with Carter Hart right now. Carter Hart is playing like he was in 2019. Mm-hmm. He's playing great positional hockey. If you watch goaltenders, the most important part of goaltending is mechanics and how you play the angles and not giving up the fat rebounds that and that's all skills that goaltenders have. Carter Hart is playing and above all else, he's playing with confidence, and you can see it. Mm-hmm. The way that he challenges the shooter. So mm-hmm. I'm looking at Carter Hart tonight to come out with a big win.
Awesome. It's a big day for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got to wrap this show up. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened with Coach Coleman from the Wyoming Mustangs. Try to settle that out and fix that and get him, on a show next week. So we'll deal with that when he comes along. But this has been a great second week wrapping up Trending in the AM here on DSM Media. Jeremy, we got What the Football back tomorrow?
Yeah, What the Football back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with my co-host Chance Gardner. We'll be there, power rankings and everything. Everything's back on track tomorrow.
Sounds good. And I'll be back Sunday night with post-game live, Eagles Aftermath. Also be doing the fastest 10 minutes in sports, the Eagles halftime show, which I absolutely love. Just doing 10 minutes of rapid fire conversation. That 10 minutes goes by in a heartbeat. And then we'll be back here breaking down with Overreaction Monday on Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. Overreaction Monday is a thing. But just remember, it's an overreaction. It's a little fun. Everybody at me and coming at me for these weird, wacky statements. It's an overreaction for a reason. So just make sure you tapped into DSM Media. I'm sure Turf Talk will be on Sunday morning. Obviously, everything is happening at DSM Media.
So many shows.
I know. It's 15, 17 shows a week. I can't track them. We've got Jason part of the team. We got Hunter part of the team. And, of course, El Parcero now part of the team. I think he may be joining me on post-game live.
There you go.
I'm trying to work the details out on that.
Awesome.
Everybody, tap into DSM Media. Thank you all for showing up today. Drew, everybody on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Everybody watching on Twitter, make sure you go over to YouTube if you want your comments and your voice heard. Watch the shows always on there. And as always, we're brought to you by Manscaped, the best in male grooming goods. Make sure you go to their website, manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING when checking out. Get you 20% off and free shipping. Support the podcast that you love to watch by using our promo codes because that's the way we put these shows off on a daily basis. It's Friday. Everybody have a great weekend. For Jeremy, I'm Phil Stiefel. Our guest today, Jason Voorhees. Follow him at Mustang3651, Sports and Metal Podcast. Drunk on Ice. Someday I will not stutter when I say that. I don't know why. I want to say Flyers on Ice. I want to say Drunk on Broad. I can't get those two words together. I'm shouting out everybody's podcast today. But Jason, thanks for coming on today. Everybody have a great weekend. Let's go Birds. Let's go Flyers. Let's go Sixers. Let's just go Philly.
Go
Birds. Go Birds.
Go Birds.